Hi everyone, this is Courtney from Ruby Red Farm. Today's video is going to take you through a typical day of us getting ready for the farmer's market. So it is late June when I'm filming this video in East Central Indiana, and a lot of those big ticket items are still just not quite ready yet here in June. We have corn that is up, we have tomatoes that are trying their best but really only in the flower stage at this point, and we have a lot of zucchinis that are still just not quite ready because of the delay that we had and the fact that we had to plant them 3 times. Same with green beans, still no green beans for us. But we still have quite a bit that we're going to be able to put out on our table as far as produce goes. We're lucky in the sense that we always have the eggs and the meat as kind of backup items, so we don't ever feel like we're coming to market empty-handed, but we want produce, right? That's what most people come to a market for. So I'm gonna go ahead and harvest what I can, starting with the lettuce. I'll go ahead and untuck our lettuce here. It has been over 90 degrees, I think 7 or 8 days in the past little bit here. And of course, lettuce just does not do well in that heat. So you can see a lot of our lettuces have essentially just given up. Despite the shade and despite us watering them multiple times a day, they're still really struggling. But I have a few types of lettuce that did a little bit better, so I'm going to go harvest a little bit of spring mix here. Well, so much for that shade structure. Guess Brandon's going to have to fix that. Oops. That almost squished my celery over here. I've never grown celery before, so I was going to be really sad if that got squished. But yeah, we'll fix that later. These nice frilly lettuces, as a general rule, are meant to be a little more heat tolerant, and they have held up better. They're still nice and crisp. And I just put out a video last week of how to harvest lettuce, and so if you're interested in kind of the technique that we use here, more than welcome to go check out that video from last week. Just kind of a quick tutorial. We will wash this lettuce 2 or 3 times. Just because since we are growing it outdoors, there are going to be bugs on it, right? There's going to be bugs, there's going to be signs of bugs, but also just dirt. Quite frankly, the biggest thing we end up washing off is dirt. We'll get this triple washed. I do end up typically starting with the lettuce because I need to do it when it's early and a little bit cooler in the day. And the main reason I do it first is actually just because it takes the longest to get prepped and ready to go to the market. So go ahead and get just a little bit of spring mix. I'm finding that lettuce just does not sell very well at our farmer's market. If you live in a different part of the country, you might be shocked by that. But we live in the Midwest, and Midwesterners are not exactly known for salads being their main dish. So we had hoped that maybe we would sell a little bit more and that people would surprise us, but I work in healthcare. I have a pretty good idea of what people around here eat, and it's not salad. So we, again, live and learn, right? We sell a lot of it to the restaurant. We could sell even more to the restaurant. I think that's probably what we'll end up doing, is just selling a larger amount to the restaurants and just taking a few bags like we are today of spring mix. Now, realistically, these here are already starting to go to seed, right? They're bolting. They're going up. And so we have probably only a little bit of time left with lettuce being available. Once we get into July in Indiana, it is just simply too hot no matter what you do. Love this red oak leaf. It just comes out so nice. Alrighty, that's a pretty good haul. Just gonna take about 3 pounds or so, maybe not even that much of lettuce to market today. As I mentioned, it has been very, very hot. But today will be a little bit cooler. I think it's only gonna be 84 today or something like that. And so hoping if we can get this in some ice water and get it rinsed, it'll crisp back up and it should hold up through the market here. We'll see. I'm gonna go ahead in this same container, go ahead and collect a little bit of our surprise crop appearance this week. Next, I'll go ahead and grab some radishes. As you can see, the weeds are still kind of kicking our booty this year. We have just been overtaken by weeds. Hoping this next week to really get more caught up on that. This past week, my daughter has had softball 5 nights. My son had it the other day. She's got softball again today, and it's been 90 degrees. So I'm sure it'll show up when I look back to edit this video how tired I am. But in general, we just have not been home. We've had some help taking care of the chores for us, but we haven't been able to get out in the garden as much as we would like to. And so we're behind, like most people are, I would imagine, this time of year. We've also had a lot of crops that have been really heavily affected by bugs that we just need to pull. Sometimes when they get overwhelmed by bugs like that, there's no other option other than just to pull those plants and get the problem out of the way so you don't have to look at it all the time. So let me harvest a few of these radishes. These are kind of our tried and true crop this year. They're doing very, very well. And yeah, they tend to be humongous. So I love this type. It's called Rivoli. Really big fan. It gets nice, crisp, hard radishes that people have really given us good feedback on. Now I will cut the tops off of these this week because it has been so hot and the bugs have really taken over that they just don't look appealing. Our people that we've found just want the radishes. They do not care about the tops. So I will probably, when I process these, go ahead and chop the tops off and then give these a good rinse, and they look really nice for market. So I'm going to harvest as many as I can of these. We typically sell about 15 to 20 of these in a week, and that's all we can sell. So we try not to harvest any more than that. Every now and then we'll get a bad one where it's rotted, and so I'm just kind of checking for that. Sometimes too, of course, bugs will get into them. Not as bad with radishes. They're pretty darn resilient. Radishes are the quickest and easiest thing to harvest, and so we just kind of roll with it. This one is unique. We'll be throwing that one out. So these end up just going to our chickens. I'll just grab a couple more, but they look really nice. That'll be my radish crop. And again, I'm going to be cutting these off, so it really doesn't matter if there's a few browned ones in there. So there's that. Next to onions. Now these are the Walla Walla onions that we started from plants that have just done incredibly well. It could be a fluke, but we will probably try to repeat these results next year. We may even try to order another batch and do some more this fall. But these onions are still growing, and we are definitely ready to harvest at least a few of them. Look at that. We've been so impressed with these. They taste amazing. They will continue getting bigger and bigger, and so we'll keep harvesting them as we go because you're okay to do that. But we're going to let a few get as big as they will. Right now we sell these for just $1 a piece, but with this size of a bulb, we may have to up that price to $2 today. Yeah, these just look great. We have a whole row of them, so we should have plenty left to get us through a big chunk of the season here. Oh my goodness, look at this one. Let's see if I can get this one out cleanly here. Whew. Man, that's a doozy. I have never been able to grow onions this large. They look so good and they taste amazing. A lot of people too eat the tops, so we do keep the tops on. We just take any of the ones that have any damage or browning to them and we just throw them out. So we keep just the nice looking ones. That is one good looking onion right there. We sell ours fresh as well. We don't pull a bunch and cure them or anything like that. We just sell them fresh, and people seem to like that overall. All right, that should be plenty. It's a pretty small market. We don't really sell a whole lot each day. And the nice thing with onions is if there are extras, we'll eat them. We don't harvest very many radishes though for that reason, is we don't like radishes. So I don't want a bunch of extras. All right, let's see if any of these cabbages have survived the bugs. So I mentioned earlier, we've having bug problems. Our cabbages always have a little bit of a bug problem, but it does seem like it's been a little bit worse this year. A few of these though look like they've developed enough of a tight head that the bugs don't look like they've gotten in too deep. So let me see if there's anything I can harvest and bring with us today. I got one, as you can see, tons of bug damage on here. I'm gonna peel back and see if there is a point where the bug damage is less severe. If this one has too much bug damage, we'll either eat it or we'll give it to the chickens. So it doesn't go to waste, but I'm just hoping we can sell a couple of these. We spent so daggone long growing them, and I don't think on this one. This one looks like it's damaged too deep into the cabbage. So we'll set this one aside. It'll go to the birds. This one over here looks promising. Let me see if I can pull it out here. Nah, I don't think so. Once again, I just think this is too kind of puny to sell at the market. Not impressive at all. It's going to end up being more of an eyesore for our table than a benefit. So this one is nice and we'll keep it for ourselves, but we're not going to sell this. You can see the bugs on it. So too buggy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to take any cabbages today, which stinks because we spent a long time growing these. Oh, maybe. This one might be good enough. I think we have a winner. Now the bugs definitely still got the outer parts on this one, which is expected. But once I take that all away, pull off any bugs that are left, I have a very nice early flat Dutch cabbage here that we will take to market. So I'll take 1. I was worried it was gonna be 0. Alrighty, yep, 1. 1 is the magic number for today. I know this season, I'm sure watching us and do our garden videos here has been a little bit depressing because every single video seems to be very negative. So I'll give you a positive outlook here. I'm positive this is the hardest year we've ever had with gardening. Things are looking up a little bit. Our warmer weather crops are finally taking hold. Our corn that unfortunately was blown over in the windstorms we had last week did recover nicely. I was able to kind of prop some of it back up and now it's taken off again. And our tomato and our pepper plants and our zucchinis finally enjoyed this hot weather. As much as we didn't enjoy it, they have been. So genuinely, the July and August crops are turning around and looking way better than we were worried they were going to. But our early weather stuff and just the garden as a whole for this early season was a very big struggle for us. So trying to keep our heads held up. We're still very new to this. This is only the 4th year that we've had a garden. And so we're learning, right? We're learning and we're learning from mistakes. I think we definitely had some beginner's luck of sorts in those early days. And that beginner's luck seems to be wearing out. So we're gonna have to come at it from much more of a scientific approach, and we're trying our best to learn as we go. Still leaning toward eventually getting a high tunnel. We might even have to get 2 high tunnels and essentially have a hot one and a cool one, just in order to grow the diverse range of what we grow. I think that might be what we end up having to do. And if we do that, we're gonna try to get it in place, you know, this fall so that we have it all set up and we're ready for it for the spring. So those are probably pipe dreams. We live a pretty crazy life. All right, I'm gonna get this box of stuff set up by the house and then we're gonna dig up some potatoes. Now our potatoes have done overall fairly well this year. Did see way more potato bugs on them this year, which was a surprise. We've not really ever seen them. I had to look up what it was. But as far as I can tell, I've not noticed any damage to the potatoes themselves, at least not yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and dig up a little bit from this half. This is the red potato half, and I do feel like they are ready to go. We harvested a few last week. I usually try to just kind of loosen the dirt and then pull up the plant. Then I go back and hunt for more later. But we're definitely getting some really nice red potato. I know people really enjoy sometimes the smaller potatoes, but I'm a bigger fan of a nice actual potato you can peel and use in a meal. So very excited to see some potatoes here. Do have to be careful not to cut the potatoes. I do it every time, but you got to try not to. Any ones that we cut, we just keep. So again, I'm going to loosen up the dirt all around here. And then I will take my plant, pull it up, and then go back for the potatoes. You do have to kind of hunt around and make sure you don't miss any. They tend to go down rather than sideways, but you're gonna get some that go out to the side. So you gotta check every direction. Looks a little like a heart. Look at that one. That's a monster. So that's the original potato. That's the one that I planted. And then here's all the other ones that we end up getting off of it. Alrighty, that's probably plenty on the red potato side. Let's go see what yellow potatoes we got. Now these golds are definitely ready. You can tell because the plants are starting to yellow a little bit. We did harvest a few last week and they look great. Let me show you what we got in here. There you go. So again, these are these nice Yukon Golds. They have a real thin skin on them and they grow really consistently here in Indiana. So see if I can get a few pounds of these. Potatoes are really one of our better sellers. Ooh, I'm getting lightheaded every time I stand up too fast. Potatoes are really one of our better sellers. The problem is, for one, we just can't grow that many. You know, digging these trenches, digging the way we do, it's very, very labor intensive. So we grow enough just to be able to sell some in this early season. Reason we focus on that is because come July, we have a vendor that all he does is potatoes, which is quite frankly kind of a relief because it means we don't feel as pressured to grow a bunch of potatoes. But he also has the machinery and he has the bulk, right? He planted, I think, 1,700 pounds of potatoes this spring. And so we can't compete with those prices, which is fine. You do you, buddy. If you want to be the potato man, be the potato man. Because I don't want to be the potato woman. So we grow just enough that if our customers are loyal to us, they want to have some from us, we'll have them. But also just, again, for this early season when he's not quite there yet, we provide. Potatoes are a fun thing to grow. You pretty much put them in the ground and say, good luck. recommend adding that crop if you don't have it on your farm yet. All right, that's probably plenty for today. It's another really hot day and there's a lot of activities going around town. So I just don't feel like we're gonna get a huge crowd. Maybe if I say that, I'll be wrong and we will get a huge crowd. I don't know. Either way, this is plenty for us to take to market today. Whew. We really highly considered doing a CSA this year where we had, a subscription service to the different foods. I'm very, very glad that we didn't end up doing that. We just have not had enough produce where I don't even know if we had only 10 people do it. I don't think we would have been able to supply them. Between errors on our part of just misjudging how much we would have needed, and also just errors on Mother Nature's part because the weather has been completely abnormal this year for April, May, and June. Again, just very, very relieved that we didn't, put ourselves out there with any kind of a guarantee because we would not have been able to uphold it this year. We've talked about doing one that's just meat and eggs, and that's obviously a lot more predictable. So we may end up doing that in the future. But for now, I think the veggies and that, we're just gonna keep those a la carte. All right, I'm gonna rinse these off with the hose. All right, we're gonna go ahead and give everything a nice first rinse here. We live in the country and we're on a septic, so we have to be careful not to damage that. So we gotta get as much dirt off of it out here as we can before we take it into the house. Okay, nice thing with potatoes is I'm just gonna set these in the shop to dry in a cool place and those will be done. I changed my mind. I think I will take this one to market. I'm only gonna put $1 on it. It's a tiny little thing, but it should actually have some nice flavor. And a lot of people don't want a real big cabbage, so might as well take it. If it doesn't sell, we'll just keep it after the market. For the onions especially, I'm trying to get as much dirt off of the roots as I can. And then again, I'm gonna take off anything that looks damaged just because it isn't as appealing. This one looks fine as is, but anything brown, anything that's gone, yellowed, I'd kind of pull that off just so it looks better on the table. So this one's a better example. You have one leaf that just kind of is a natural process, gave up at the end of the process here. So I'm gonna pull it off, but I'm also gonna go ahead and pull that layer off of the onion itself so people can see a little more clearly what type it is, and then take a quick check of the leaves and everything looks fine. So I'll give this one a good rinse and I'll do that with the rest of these onions as well. Okay, time for radishes. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the tops off now. Again, most of our customers don't want the tops. They've never expressed any interest in them. And so last week I ended up actually just tearing them off at the market because I looked down and realized how rough they were looking. Today I'm gonna work ahead here and just cut them, an inch or so above the stem, just to give them a little bit of a cleaner look. And as an added bonus, it makes them a lot easier to clean off. Again, we just need to let these dry. We'll take these to the shop. Now, for my lettuce, I am gonna go ahead and give it one good rinse out here. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. This week I had to water them so much, there's quite a bit of dirt on here. I'm gonna try to knock that dirt down a little bit. I do have to be gentler here. Might go to more of a shower. Get it nice and wet, and then we'll take it inside and finish the process in there. All right, here we go. I try to touch this lettuce as little as possible. So this is all looking really good. This will be essentially our produce haul for the day. Get everything where it belongs, and then I'm gonna go eat some breakfast because it is 10 in the morning and I woke up late from being so tired from softball that didn't have my tea or my breakfast yet. It's probably why I almost passed out a minute ago. So I'm gonna get this where it belongs, get some food in my system, and then we'll show you how we process the lettuce the rest of the way. Oh, I feel better already. I'm convinced there's nothing better than farm fresh fried eggs, over easy or sunny side up as I always knew it. Cheers. Alrighty, now that I am fed, first thing I do when I'm gonna wash all this lettuce is to clean the entire area very, very well. Lettuce, as you know, is very easily contaminated. So I'm gonna use some dish soap first, get everything clean with that. This is where having a divided sink is very, very handy for us. Get all around just in case. Rinse everything off with some nice hot water. So I'll get the majority off of it with that dish soap. And then for our sink, I end up using then some bleach. So this is called soft scrub. It's got a little bit of grit to it. So I'm gonna put this all around the base as well. Spread it around. This is to sanitize. Just to kill any remaining germs, because the last thing we would ever want is to get somebody sick. Okay, Let that sit for a moment, and then we'll rinse that out real well as well. All right, next up is I'm going to use this nice colander system. This has been cleaned thoroughly as well. I can't recommend this enough if you have to wash lettuce. For this first step here, it's very, very handy to be able to just pull it up and get the water out of there. Now I'm going to use as cold a water as I can. I may end up adding some ice as well. Little by little, then I'm going to start putting the lettuce down into here. This is my chance to pick out any bad pieces. And so I'm kind of looking through. I'll show you some as I find them. There are always going to be a few bad pieces, okay? So like this one here isn't too bad. The ends are a little crisp. That's probably fine. But this one here, you can show it's got some burning and some tearing. I'm just going to set these to the side and then go to the chickens. I don't want to sell somebody a bad piece of lettuce. And I know this seems like it might be more nitpicky, but people tend to be pretty unforgiving with things like that. This one's a little slimy. This one's a little slimy. And that one there has a little bit of bad spot on it. The nice part about how we do this is that we have multiple chances to catch those bad pieces. Once I have a nice little pile in here, I don't know how well you can see that. So there's my nice little pile. I'm going to give it a good thorough rinse, again, with very cold water. Trying to get any dirt, any bugs, because there are some slugs occasionally on here. Rinse all of that off. And then the way this works is I can just pull the yellow part up and out, and the water stays behind. So I'm going to kind of shake the water off as I go. And that's my lettuce. Now, we have added another step, and I'll show you that next. Once I have my lettuce mostly water-free, I bring it over to the other side of the room. And it's going to go down into this lovely invention called a salad spinner. So I'm going to pour everything in here. Put my lid on. And give it a good spin. I will link this and that colander in my video description. This one has a brake as well. Love that. Reminds me of a toy I had when I was a kid. So what that does then is it really does get the majority of the rest of the water off of here. And then I'm going to put it on these very freshly cleaned towels and we'll let it dry. I always do the lettuce early on because it takes quite a while for it to dry. We don't have any kind of a fan system, but you can see just how much water was still on that lettuce, and it never would have dried if I had left that on there. So I'll get this off to the side now. And rinse and repeat, quite literally. All right, here's my final haul. Kind of a small haul today. That's on purpose though. Got everything spread out really well, and we're gonna let it air dry for the next hour or two. Gonna go next and gather some eggs. I almost forgot to give an update on the kittens. They're doing great. We have 3 left with us. As you can see, they're still spending time with mama every now and then. About as big as her now. These guys are about 8 or 9 weeks old, and they are just the cutest. We're gonna be keeping 2 of them. I think the 2 actually that are right with the mama, and then that dark gray one's gonna go probably to our neighbor. So it is 11 in the morning now. It has really heated up. It's probably pushing about 80 already. Girls are hiding in the shade and definitely getting into that we're really hot position. You kind of see it over there. I'll see if I can zoom in. Yeah, when they get really hot, they'll kind of pant and put their arms out. You'll also see them just get into that pose right there so that they can kind of spread out and get a little more air into their wings. So they're doing fine. We have plenty of water. They'll be fine. Go ahead and gather as many eggs as I can. And it's noisy, so I'm not even going to bother talking. Ooh, chickens. And there's a reason we don't typically gather this time of day. It's pretty crowded. All right, I'll go grab whatever other eggs I can from inside. Then we'll take you back in and wash them. Pretty good egg haul overall. Got at least half a bucket here. The younger hens are mostly starting to lay now, although most of their eggs are still medium sized, but we'll take it. Everybody's coming along as planned. All right, and now we are right back at the sink again. Go ahead and get these eggs washed. As you can imagine, it's definitely in our best interest to do the lettuce first. We get everything cleaned out, get the lettuce done because there is such a high risk of contamination. And then once we have that lettuce all processed and off to the side, then we bring in the eggs. So I'm kind of noticing that my life, the morning of a farmer's market, is basically wash things and let them dry, then go get the next thing and wash it and let it dry, and then go get this next thing and wash it and let it dry. So I'm gonna get these eggs washed. Once I have them all washed, I will let them dry. Then I need to get some labels printed off and ready to go. I do enjoy being able to tell people this is literally the freshest you're gonna get with eggs. All the eggs we're bringing to market are either from yesterday or today. So gonna be about a full month to 2 months fresher than what you're buying from the grocery store. So most of our regulars recognize that difference and appreciate it. I've got 9 dozen in the fridge already from yesterday that are larges, and then I'll hopefully get another 5 or 6 from here. I do have some in the egg fridge that are packaged for the egg fridge that we may end up kind of stealing, so to speak, a few out of that fridge to take to market, but that means we have to repackage them and kind of go through a process. So it's always a guessing game. We never know how many people are going to show up. We never know how many people are going to buy a bunch of eggs. We try not to sell out. So we typically try to bring a little bit more than we think we will need. And so usually we try to fill up our one cooler that I believe, it's really humid, that I believe fits either 18 or 21, I can't remember, but it fits a nice number of eggs. And so we'll try to take at least 18 dozen with us. That tends to be about what we sell. Our market is still very small. And so we are grateful that it's small because really we can't provide much more. So I'm kind of glad that we don't have a bigger customer base, but you always want it to still be a decent sized customer base, and you want it to be consistent. Now that is asking way too much in the farmers market world to have the same crowd every single week. We live in a pretty small county and there are always other events going on. So last week we had our county fair, which we were very slow as a market last week. This week that fair is still going on, but I think the rides might be gone by now. And so hopefully people will have already kind of gotten their fair fix, and then we'll have more people. We do have also a few more vendors today because a few of our vendors go to the fair with their kids and their animals. So having more vendors, having a bigger variety can be helpful as far as drawing people in. And again, a lot of it's just luck of the draw. Thankfully, aside from some scattered storm chances, the weather should be decent today. It's gonna be hot and humid, it's 80 already, but that's better than the 93 degrees that it was last week. I think the high today is only about 84 or 85, which again, still gonna be really hot, but that's less likely to draw people away. It's less likely to have people stay home. So we shall see. All right, I'm gonna finish these up and get some water because it's really hot. All right, it's about noon, which means it's time for me to get ready. I am part of the product presentation after all, so let's see if this works. Much better. I don't look a whole lot different, but I smell a whole lot better. All right, it's time to get everything packaged and labeled. Sometimes you forget to drink the tea that you made at 10 in the morning, and you get to put ice in it and have iced tea at 1 o'clock in the afternoon instead. So it's time to get everything packaged. I'm gonna wash my hands really well, weigh these out probably into either 4 or 5 ounce bags, somewhere in that range, and get these kind of labeled and set aside. And then I also need to label the eggs, and I need to label some jam that I made last night. These are nice because we can just kind of leave them open in the cooler, and it basically lets them vent so that any extra water and moisture can have kind of a place to go. I do try to make sure I'm getting a nice mixture here of all the different types of leaves for a little more texture and a little more color. And again, going for about 5 ounces, just because this scale here is really not our most accurate one, but I'm too lazy to go out and get the other one. So we'll see where we're at here. It's probably about right. Yep, that is 4 ounces. I'll add just a few more leaves just to get it just above 4 ounces on this particular scale. There we go. So that'll be the size that we go with. That is about as much lettuce as anybody around here wants to buy. And if you're from a different area, you're probably shocked right now. I'm telling you though, Midwesterners, salad is just really not a huge menu item for most people around here. So, different demographic, different part of even our county it might be. but not at our market. Our market, people pretty much just buy the meat and eggs off of us, and then the convenient vegetables, right? So they'll get potatoes or corn or green beans and things like that. They're not a big fan of the leafy greens. We just do not sell them very well in our market. I'll get these all done up. It is thankfully mostly dry. I was able to let it sit out for about 2 hours, and so it had plenty of time to dry off here in the nice air-conditioned kitchen. But sometimes if I don't have quite that long, I'll take a paper towel and just dab it dry as best I can as well. I'm not gonna need to do that today though. It's pretty dried out. Really nice looking spring mix. This is the mix that we sell to the restaurant as well. And so it's been very well received. We're really happy with how it looks, but just how it tastes and how the whole package ends up kind of coming together here. Again, it's the Salanova. I think this is the Premier collection. It's kind of the more frilly mix. So we're big fan of these Salanova lettuces, and they're holding up relatively well in the heat. I don't think anything was going to hold up in the heat we had this week, but they've done better than I thought they would. The other nice thing with doing it this way, where it's in very small batches, is it gives me one more chance to get eyes on this lettuce and make sure that I am not missing any gross pieces, right? Because again, I don't know about you, but if I buy a bag of lettuce and there's even one nasty piece in there, I'm just so turned off by that. On top of that, it actually can lead to disease and bacteria that can spread to the other leaves. So there's health reasons too, but mostly just that ick factor. You do not want somebody's first impression to go, ew, there's a gross leaf in here. So we really do try to triple check between when we pick it, when we wash it, and when we package it. It gives us 3 chances to get any gross leaves out. See, and I just found another one. A bug found that one before we did. Awesome. Ended that essentially on the perfect bag. So got 6 little bags of spring mix here that I'll take to market. We only put about $2 a bag on these, and so they typically will sell. And the nice thing again is it's one of those things that we grow it because we like it. So if we don't sell all of it, then we just keep it for ourselves. All right, I am gonna get these into our fridge so that the lettuce itself can cool down. But again, I'm keeping the bags open so they don't get too wet. Get these nice and cool, and then I gotta package eggs. Alrighty, time to package these eggs. So we do have specific market cartons. These were some that people brought back to us, so I gotta take the old sticker off here. But I'll go ahead and get the eggs packaged. Right now, we've just been taking the large eggs to market. We haven't been messing with the mediums. We can sell the mediums, it's just that they sell really well from our egg fridge, so there's no point in having to have extra signage that says large versus medium. So the first thing we end up doing is this nice little stamp on these eggs. We've had the same stamp since we started doing the farmer's market. It still works really well. It's got our business name and a cute little chicken on it. This has kind of become almost our signature on these dozens of eggs, where people can tell this is definitely a Ruby Red Farm because it's got that stamp on it. So what I typically will do is I'll get 1 egg per carton with that stamp, get that taken care of, and then I'll fill everything else in afterwards. And by the way, it is now 1 o'clock. So Brandon actually went ahead and got the truck loaded for us. I'm very grateful for that. He had to work for a few hours. He came home and got the truck loaded with everything except the food, essentially. And so then now the joys of trying to parent and farmer's market all in the same day. My kids all have ball today. There's a big local tournament at our local diamonds. And so my son's first game starts basically right now. My husband just left. Then he'll play again in a few hours. My daughter plays in a few hours, and she has another game this evening. If his team keeps winning, he has more games. So poor Brandon's got to run back and forth, back and forth. I'm going to be home base for now, and then we're going to get to the farmer's market as soon as we can. But we should be completely fine for that. It's just that we are, as a family, going to be pulled in multiple directions today. All right, let's get these stamped. I think we got this one off of Amazon. You can always find them on Etsy. And you can have, personalized stuff like that made pretty easily. I do think it adds a nice personal touch, and it only adds, 1 minute to the process. It's already going to take 10 or 15 minutes. Might as well add 1 more minute to make it look a little bit more personal. When I'm loading these, I am still looking for any cracked ones. It is so easy to miss a cracked egg, and so these look great. I say it time and time again, but it makes a huge difference what your carton of eggs looks like. We're a big fan of having multiple breeds so that we can get this nice look, and it really goes a long way. We do wash our eggs. If you've been around our channel for a while, you're familiar with that already. We don't technically have to for the market, but they have to be clean. That's the kind of health department rule. And in our case, with so many chickens, they are not clean when they come straight out of the coop. And so we do our part and rinse them off with water, and then we just let our customers know that they have to be refrigerated. All right, ended up with 7 dozen eggs altogether from today's eggs so far, and 9 from yesterday, so that's 16 dozen. That's probably good. That's probably all we'll take today. I really don't have time to mess with getting anything else pulled out. State health department, local health department, 30 days is the magic number. So these are from today, so 6/28 through 7/28. This also does have our Indiana license number. We have to have an egg license to sell eggs, which is so silly, but it is what it is. So I have my ones that are already cold kind of set aside. I'm actually going to end up putting them in a cooler right away. So they'll go into a cooler with a couple of ice packs. Since they're already cold, they're fine. The ones that are not quite cold yet, though, aren't going to get cold enough in a cooler. So I'm actually going to sneak those into the fridge really quickly. And then once they get cold, we'll throw those in the cooler right before we leave. So we try to do the cold products very last here, because otherwise we get there around 2 or 2:30, and then we get home, and by the time it actually gets probably back into the fridge, I would say it's closer to 7:30. So we have 5 hours that we have to keep this stuff cold. And so we really try to strategize with that and let the stuff come out very, very last. This is what they end up looking like in the cooler. Packaging isn't quite as critical with something like this, but it does seem to matter in the long run. So I'll get these all set, and then I need to label some jam now. All right, next up, I got to label this black raspberry jam. I made this jam last night, and it is from some raspberries from our property and some from a property that we've picked from for 20 plus years now. So when you have jam like this and you're selling them at a market in Indiana, you have to have kind of certain things on the label. So the common name, the ingredients, you have to have when it was processed, and then you have to kind of have a statement on there that just essentially says this was not produced in an inspected facility. It's almost like an eat at your own risk kind of a label, which sounds a little harsh, but that's just what the labeling is here in Indiana and in our county. It may be very different in your state, so if you're looking at selling jam, please do your homework before you take my advice. And then in general, we are kind of looking at trying to add more jams in the future. But for right now, we want them to be locally sourced, which really limits it, right? We live in Indiana. There's not a lot of fruits that grow well here. But we're trying to have everything be locally sourced. And then we're also, of course, trying to make the jam ourselves. That's kind of a given, I would think. But for now, the jam usually sells relatively well. And we've had pretty good luck with both the strawberry and the black raspberry. A lot of people in our area, grew up making these two types of jams. So typically does pretty well. I do like to put a little sticker with black raspberries on it just so people know what they're buying and make sure they don't accidentally buy it thinking it's strawberry. I think with as black as these are in the jars, surely people will realize that this is not strawberry jam.
So I'm leaving at 2:30?
We're going to be leaving probably at more like 2:15 to get to the farmer's market. Right, once we get everything set up, then you're going to go to your game. Yeah, I know. It's a little bit confusing. It's kind of a crazy day, honey. In general, we really do not put a whole lot of time into our labeling. We just don't feel like it's worth the investment because in our area, people are going to buy it no matter what. And I could be completely wrong on that. I might be missing out, on a lot of sales just because I'm too lazy to print perfect, beautiful labels every single time. These are, in my opinion, more of a necessity. And so I'm treating them with that much effort. We do not have time to mess with getting it perfect. I'm not a big fan of perfect anyway. It's not really my style. So we are hoping to go and pick more berries here in the next few days. It has just been far too hot. My mom has been going, bless her heart, because I have no idea how she's doing it. It's so humid, and if you've ever picked black raspberries, you kind of have to wear full-length pants and long sleeves. And so this 90-degree weather has not exactly been perfect. Now that we're done with the ball tournament we just got through, and it's a little bit cooler, we got to go and try to get the last of these berries. They're only ripe for probably about a week and a half to 2 weeks at the most. Now the place we pick has a ton of berries. hoping to try jelly. But jelly, if you've ever made it before, you know, it takes a lot more product, right? You gotta have way more berries because you strain out all of the pulp, which takes up a lot of space. All right, I'm gonna get these priced, and then my son's game should be almost over. I'm gonna go ahead and head out to the shop and get some things moving out there. Okay, all right, here's my jam. Other veggies dried out just fine. Eggs are all loaded, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get the coolers loaded because it sounds like Brandon is on his way home. My son won his t-ball game, and that means he has to play again in about an hour and a half. So it actually complicated things with him winning, but such is life. So we're gonna go ahead and get some things put into the cab of the truck, and then get these coolers loaded up here. Got my lettuce in here. I'm gonna get my cabbages in here as well. Got to have lots of thermometers for pretty much everything. And I'm actually decided I'm gonna go ahead and tuck my onions in here too, just so that I can get these tails in, because that'll keep them looking nice. I'll probably take these out as soon as we get there. The rest of the produce can go in the other tub. Now the real question is, where's the lid to that cooler? I'm gonna go find it. Got it. Let's go ahead and get the drink cooler set. There's already quite a few drinks in here. Probably add just a few more, and that's nice. Cold drinks usually sell them really well on these hot days. Potatoes and radishes are good. Get this jam. Whoa. Get this jam out of the way. All right, just like we have to have our freezers separate, we have to have our coolers separate. So this one here is gonna be our pork cooler. It's 2:15 now, so we've gotta really get moving. We try to get there before 2:30 no matter what, so that we can shut the road down. But today's been a weird one. And we don't have a ton of vendors coming today, so it's less important, but I still gotta get there. He's on his way home right now with our son, and then we will hopefully be able to hit the road shortly. Gotta load up on bacon here. And then all the sausages. We got plain, Cajun, and Italian right now, and those three sell pretty well. And we're on to beef. My mom is gonna come and help.
Okay, sweet. With you or with me?
With Gabe.
Okay.
I'm gonna wipe this out, and then I got this to load up. So
All right.
if you wanna get the other stuff. All right, Brandon's back. All right, beef. Yeah, I don't have any roast yet.
Hamburger, patties.
That's fine. Should be plenty. It's hot as crap. Nobody's gonna be buying roast anyway.
No.
We never know with hamburgers. Sometimes we sell 3 pounds. Sometimes somebody comes up and buys 10 pounds all at once.
You got fajitas?
Yep, I got fajita meat. We should be good. Just need ice packs. Okay. I'm gonna put drumsticks and thighs on sale today. We need freezer space because we're taking those chickens this week. Alright, chicken's good. Let's load up. Well, we did a really good job loading.
We did.
I feel really good about that process.
You should.
It was a good division of labor.
I'm glad that I could do 99% of the work.
I could get used to that.
You should be.
Not that far from the normal. Normally he does about 80%.
85.
Probably more accurate. Ooh, it's heavy. You're a good little helper, dude. Thank you. All right, we're loaded up, heading to the market. All right, that's pretty much the bulk of it. We'll get the rest taken care of here if we have time. I got to unlock the bathrooms, and thankfully this year we don't have anybody that shows up super early, but vendors should start rolling in here in the next half hour. Market actually starts at 4. It is 2:45 now, so we'll get this all squared away. Yep, bye guys, good luck at your games. I'll see you later. Phew, alrighty. He got me pretty well set up. I'm actually really happy with what we were able to get done in, you know, the whopping 15 minutes that he was here. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the process up, sit down and wait for vendors. They've got softball and t-ball today. Yeah, we were excited it was winding down, and then they decided to add way more games this week. We're real tired. Well, you're about to watch this conversation on YouTube too. All right, there's our booth. It is all set up, and we are ready to go. Perfect. Thank you. We always take them. Hi there.
Hi.
How are you?
Well, I just had to come buy something from you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much.
Oh, don't worry about it.
I appreciate it. How about a bag? Can I just do that for you?
Yeah, bag would be
Okay. I do have radishes, just for you. All right, it is about 5 o'clock and our rush is essentially over. Pretty slow day today, but we sold a lot of the stuff from our table. All right, it's getting close to 7 o'clock. I'm gonna go ahead and pack up. We had a very slow day today, but we actually sold about the same amount as we normally do. So I'll take it. Brandon stole the diamonds with the kids, so I gotta pack up by myself. Alrighty, there's my last item. Other vendors helped me out a ton. I'm done. I gotta go lock the bathrooms and I get to go home. Alright, made it home. Let's get this unloaded. He just manhandles these coolers. I have to take stuff out a little bit at a time. I'm not strong enough for all that. Okay, there we go. Now it's light enough. Alrighty, all in all, it was a pretty solid day at the market for us. We are whooped. It's definitely time for me to get some rest. But I'm gonna get the old stuff unpacked and then I'm heading to Ball Diamonds to cheer on my daughter. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to hit like and subscribe if you enjoy the balancing act that is parenting while farming. Appreciate y'all watching and I hope y'all have a great day. Good job, Belle.